The medical bay of the human outpost buzzed faintly with the hum of machines and the soft hiss of oxygen vents. I sat on one of the padded examination chairs, still feeling the dull ache of the injury I had earned during a training exercise. A cracked rib wasn't glamorous, but it meant a visit to the infirmary, a place I usually avoided unless I absolutely had to. The reason, Nira, the alien nurse assigned to the base, was unlike anyone I had ever met. Tall, graceful, with luminous silver eyes and softly glowing markings along her skin, she carried herself with quiet confidence. Her voice had a musical quality that made every sentence sound almost like a melody. Most of the soldiers were either intimidated by her presence or endlessly fascinated, but I had the misfortune, or maybe the blessing, of being both. As she ran a scanner gently over my side, I found myself staring at her more than I should. She noticed, of course, but pretended not to. Nira was far too professional to acknowledge a flustered human soldier's wandering gaze. Still, there was always a faint warmth in her smile when she caught me. "You've cracked 2 ribs," she said finally, her tone calm but firm. "Not life-threatening, but you should be more careful. Humans are resilient, but not indestructible." I tried to shrug but winced from the pain. Guess I wanted to test that theory. Her lips curved upward, the glow on her cheek markings brightening ever so slightly. That glow, I had learned, was a telltale sign of emotion among her species. As she prepared the regenerator device, I couldn't resist. Maybe it was the pain, maybe it was the way her eyes lingered just a fraction longer than they should. But I blurted something stupid. "Yes, dear," I said, trying to sound casual, almost like a joke you might make to a spouse fussing over you. The room went silent for a heartbeat. Then Nira's eyes widened, and her glowing patterns deepened to a brilliant shade of violet. She blinked at me, then gave a smile so warm it made my chest ache worse than the ribs. "So," she said softly, her voice carrying an unmistakable undertone of amusement. "You accept, then?" I froze. "Accept what?" Her head tilted slightly, the way it always did when she was confused by human customs. "You just acknowledged me as your mate." My brain short-circuited. "Wait, what? That was just a joke. Humans say things like that all the time." Nira leaned closer, her gaze steady, unblinking. "On my world, such words are not spoken lightly. They are a binding promise. If you call someone dear in such a way, you claim them." I wanted to sink into the chair and vanish. My heart hammered against my chest, and my mouth suddenly felt bone dry. What had I just stumbled into? I opened my mouth to explain, but no words came out. My brain was spinning like a failing starship engine. Nira didn't seem angry. If anything, she looked pleased. Her violet glow pulsed gently, a sign of calm joy, if I remembered my alien cultural briefings correctly. You can't be serious," I stammered at last. "It was just a phrase. Humans say things like that when someone nags them. It doesn't mean anything where I'm from." Her eyes softened, and she tilted her head again, scanning me with curiosity more than doubt. "Perhaps it means nothing to you, but it means everything to my people. To hear it spoken so naturally, without hesitation, it carries weight." She placed the regenerator device against my ribs, sending a tingling warmth through my side. I should have been focused on the healing process, but every nerve in my body was fixated on her closeness, her voice, her words. "So," she continued, almost playfully, "was it a mistake, or do you intend to honor what you've spoken?" I nearly choked. "Honor?" "Look, Nira, I like you, okay? You're amazing. But marriage? Mating? That's not something humans jump into after a slip of the tongue." For a moment, she simply studied me. Then she laughed, a soft, lilting sound that filled the sterile medical bay with warmth. "Humans truly are strange. You fear promises even when your hearts clearly long for connection." I wanted to argue, but she wasn't wrong. I had been drawn to her since the first day she arrived on the outpost. I remembered the way she calmly handled a medical emergency when half the soldiers panicked. I remembered the nights I lingered in the medbay pretending to need supplies just to catch another glimpse of her. I remembered the way her eyes seemed to see through the bravado of soldiers and cut straight to who they were inside. The truth was obvious. I was already halfway hers. The only problem was admitting it. "You don't understand?" I muttered, rubbing my face. "Humans take time. We date, we learn about each other, we share meals," she interrupted, a mischievous glint in her glowing eyes. "We walk together in the gardens. We spend evenings speaking of our childhoods. These things, yes." Blinked her. "How do you know that?" Her smile widened. "I've been studying you. All of you. I wanted to understand the species I serve. And I've noticed the way you linger here even when you are not injured. The way your heartbeat changes when I speak to you. My ears burned." "You noticed that?" Her violet glow brightened further, bathing the room in a soft shimmer. "Of course. Did you think I would ignore the one human who stares at me as if I hold the stars themselves in my hands?" I was speechless, absolutely speechless. And yet, some part of me wondered if maybe, just maybe, the joke hadn't been such a mistake after all. I sat frozen on the medical cot, staring at her as though she had just told me the universe was collapsing. My heart pounded hard enough to make my freshly healed ribs ache. "Nira," I began slowly, trying to find solid ground. "What you're talking about, that's not how humans work. I mean, sure, you're incredible, but—" She leaned closer, cutting off my words with her presence alone. Her glow pulsed warmly, like a heartbeat syncing with mine. "But what, James? That you're afraid of what others might say? That your people would not approve? Or are you afraid of yourself? Of admitting what you already feel?" Her words struck too close to the truth. I wanted to deny it, to push back, but instead I found myself staring at the floor like a guilty cadet caught sneaking rations. She reached out and gently touched my hand. Her skin was cooler than mine, but the sensation was grounding, steadying. "My people believe that when two beings find harmony in heart and spirit, they are bound, whether they choose to speak it aloud or not. You may say you did not mean the words, but your spirit has already confessed." I swallowed hard. My spirit? Confessed? I didn't even know if I believed in souls, much less interspecies destiny. And yet, hearing her say it made something deep inside me stir. "I don't know if I can live up to that," I admitted quietly. "You deserve someone better. Someone who understands your culture, who knows what he's getting into. I'm just me." Nira laughed again, soft but firm, as though she'd expected that exact answer. "Better? You think greatness comes from bloodlines or traditions? No, James. Greatness comes from courage. From choosing love even when fear claws at you. That is why I find you worthy." I looked up at her then, really looked. She wasn't teasing anymore. She wasn't trying to trap me with alien customs or play games. She was simply being honest, offering me a truth I wasn't sure I was ready for, but one I desperately wanted to believe. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the hum of the medbay machinery. Then she shifted slightly, her expression softening once more. "If you are not ready, then I will not press you. But know this, I will wait. I will not turn away from what I feel, even if you choose to." That nearly broke me. No one had ever said something like that to me. Most people in my life, superiors, fellow soldiers, even old friends, treated relationships like conveniences, temporary distractions. But Nira spoke of patience, of steadfastness, as if she were promising me the stars themselves. I found myself gripping her hand back, my voice low. "You really mean that?" Her glow flared, warm and bright, filling the room like sunrise. "Yes, James, for as long as it takes." And for the first time, I wondered if saying yes, dear, hadn't been fate's way of pulling me toward something I didn't even know I needed. The next few days passed in a blur. My injuries faded quickly under Nira's care, faster than any human doctor could have managed. But it wasn't just my ribs or bruises that were healing. Every time she adjusted a bandage, checked a monitor, or simply sat near me, I felt something deeper settling inside me, like wounds I hadn't realized I carried were being stitched back together. I tried, of course, to keep things professional, to remind myself that she was an alien healer and I was just another patient. But every time she called me mate in that calm, matter-of-fact tone, the word burrowed deeper under my skin. First, it was embarrassing. Then it became confusing. Now it was starting to feel right. One evening, after most of the ship had gone quiet, I found myself alone with her again. The stars wheeled silently outside the viewport, endless and cold. Yet the medbay felt warm with her presence. She was humming a low, melodic tune that didn't sound like any human song but carried the same weight as a lullaby. I watched her for a long moment before finally speaking. "Nira, can I ask you something?" Her luminous eyes turned toward me. "You may ask me anything." "Why me?" I blurted. "You've probably seen 1,000 humans before me. Soldiers, captains, people braver or smarter. What makes me different?" She tilted her head thoughtfully, as though the question genuinely surprised her. "Because you listened," she said simply. "Most who pass through here see me as strange, as other. They fear me or dismiss me. You saw me. You joked, yes, but beneath it, you recognized me as more than a healer or an alien. You treated me as a person." Her words hit harder than any battlefield wound. I realized she was right. I hadn't thought about it at the time, but I hadn't been afraid of her. I hadn't put up walls or pretended she was just another piece of the ship. I'd spoken without thinking, and somehow that small spark had ignited something larger than either of us expected. I sat forward, my decision forming even before I could fully process it. And if I really said yes this time, not as a joke, but for real, what would that mean? Her glow deepened, shimmering like dawn breaking across her features. It would mean we walk forward together. Different worlds, different bodies, but one path. It would mean you would never stand alone again. The weight of her promise pressed down on me, and yet it didn't feel heavy. It felt liberating. For once, I wasn't just a soldier or a survivor. I was someone being offered a choice, not of duty, but of connection. I took a breath, my heart racing, and then I said it softly but clearly, "Yes, dear." This time I meant it. Nira's smile glowed brighter than any star outside that viewport, and in that moment, I knew my life had changed forever.